Is it really a question of gun control? Excuse me, but that is not quite correct. I have to disagree with your point. Do you really believe that the gun control is the appropriate solution? I have to clear that I am not a gun possession defender, but I would like to be clear with my position with regard to this situation and the mass shootings in the US. I'd like to focus on one point that has been failed to address. Firstly, let's gauge this. A criminal mind needs to ask for permission to kill? Do I say to an authority, as a crook, or at least as a person who has developed a criminal mind, not being a felon yet, I need you to let me buy a gun because I want to kill some people due to I don't agree with their beliefs or lifestyle. Would you let me? I suppose that if you want to commit a crime like a mass shooting, you just do it. You don't need a law that allows you to keep guns because you can get weapons in the black market. You have money, you can buy it. You want to kill? Well, you make your decision. But the core point here is, do you kill because of you have a gun or because of you are mentally ill? What is your answer? In my humble opinion, I don't think that it is a gun control situation. I think that American people have a mental disorder. Secondly, following with a similar situation, if we think of, for example, the person who buys a rat poison, it's supposed that this poison must be used to kill rats, not to poison people. But what about if someone uses it to kill people? And then consecutively, other people do the same. Kill more and more and more people. So, using this logic, the rat poison must be forbidden, or what would be a foolish measurement, you would need a legal permission to buy it. Maybe you would have to declare how many rats do you want to kill, their ages, their weights, their marital status, if they are married, single, engaged, and so on. Yeah, it's stupid. I'm teasing you. Now talking seriously, in the same way, American people buy guns to defend themselves from burglars. For example, they don't buy guns to kill defenseless people. Let's check some of the main news reports about mass shooting, their perpetrators, and the likely crime motives. Let's see.
The first indications police said that Ian Long might be violent came last April when his family reported a domestic disturbance.
He was somewhat irate, acting a little irrationally. They called out our crisis intervention team, our mental health specialist, who met with him, talked to him, and cleared him.
Though deemed not to be a threat, deputies thought he might be suffering from PTSD. Long served 5 years in the Marine Corps, spending 8 to 9 months in Afghanistan as a machine gunner, discharged as a corporal in 2013. Experts say PTSD can make it difficult to process traumatic experiences. Recovery can take years.
With traumatic events such as war, combat experiences, we get stuck on that. nightmares, flashbacks, numbness of feelings, etc., etc.
Investigators say Long used a .45 caliber Glock 21 like this one, purchased legally in 2016 from this gun shop, but outfitted with a high-capacity magazine, largely illegal in California.
I call this the tragedy triangle. There's a mental health issue, there's firearms present or with easy access, and then there's some police action.
Neighbors say Long had been living with his mother for several years since his divorce. Investigators say there are no obvious links to terrorism. This has all the hallmarks of a disturbed individual.
Here, in this case, we have a guy who shot and killed some people and, according to the official report, was suffering from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And recovery could take some years. So, it isn't a mental disorder? If you kill some people without any explicable reason, did it happen because you had a gun in your hand without any restriction, or because of you are mentally ill? Now let's watch maybe the worst mass shooting, Las Vegas shooting with more than 50 deaths and over 100 wounded. Let's see. Let's watch.
By gun range before driving back to the Mandalay. That night, he again uses the valet service and a bellman to carry a white container and 3 suitcases to his room. His arsenal of weapons is growing. Again, he gambles through the night. It's now Friday, and at 8 p.m. the Route 91 Harvest Festival will open in the fairgrounds across from the Mandalay. Paddock stays in his room until around 3 p.m. and uses his laptop while the suite is cleaned. He checks into the adjoining room, 134, using the name of his girlfriend Mary Lou Danley. He also tells cleaning staff to leave behind the food service cart. 2 days later, Paddock would use this and one other service cart to create a surveillance ring during his attack. Overnight, he makes a brief trip to Mesquite, arriving back at the Mandalay at 6 a.m. with 2 more suitcases. Soon after noon on Saturday, he places Do Not Disturb signs on both room doors. He declines housekeeping, he takes an elevator to the valet area and sits waiting for his car. He carries 2 more bags to his room. He gambles some more, and that night he makes a final trip to Mesquite, returning to the Mandalay at 3 a.m. on Sunday morning. He gambles through the night in the high-limit slot area and returns to his room at 7:37 a.m. It's 12:16 p.m. when we see Paddock going back to the parking garage. The guests exiting the elevator have no idea that in 10 hours this unremarkable figure would commit the worst mass shooting in modern American history. He returns from his car, bringing 2 suitcases and a smaller bag inside. Since Monday, he has brought at least 21 cases, 2 smaller bags, a laptop bag and a container to his room. This is the last time we see Paddock, arriving at the 32nd floor. Through the day, he opens, closes and locks both rooms repeatedly. At 36 minutes after 9, he locks the deadbolt to room 135 for the last time. 4 minutes later, Jason Aldean, who is headlining the Route 91 festival, begins his act. Paddock then turns the deadbolt to room 134. At 10:05, his shooting rampage begins. In under 10 minutes, he would kill 58 people and injure over 700 before taking his own life. He had amassed 23 guns and thousands of rounds of ammunition. Almost 6 months since the attack, Paddock's motive remains unknown.
Could you see all those weapons? Now tell me, if gun control would have avoided that this man had collected all these weapons. The magnitude of his planned action required all these kind of weapons. As a planned action, It departs from his mind, and a low weapon control wouldn't have stopped him, since he could have got these weapons in the black market. I insist, it is a mental problem, not a gun control circumstance. Finally, do you remember Pablo Escobar's sister's prophetical words when journalists interviewed her after her brother's demise? She said, ¿Ustedes realmente creen que el problema de la droga en este país se acaba con la muerte de Escobar? Because not just the journalists, but everybody in Colombia believed that drug criminal organizations would end with Escobar's death. And she was right. The drug problem wasn't Escobar. It was the desire of some Colombian people to get money easily and fast. Escobar was just the hugest expression of this feeling. It could be a mental disorder too. The problem is not the object which you commit the crime with. The problem is the intention that gives birth in your mind. Now, turning to the American case again, American government doesn't admit they have a mental problem because it would have devastating economic implications. That is my opinion. That's it. Bye bye.